All right. Hello, hello, hello. Just want to make sure I'm sharing this. Give me 1 second. Let me just pop this into my Facebook group as well. I want to go ahead. I'm excited to share this with you guys. Give me a quick second. Say hello as you join. Say hi in the comments. Let me know who's here, who's tuning in live. Hashtag live if you're here. Hashtag replay if you're on the replay. That's cool too. Just go ahead and say hi. I'm going to get started in like 2 seconds. I just want to share this over into my Facebook group really quickly. And then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, cool. Looks like we are probably over there as well. Really, really excited to talk to you guys and just share something with you guys that I think is really, really important. And I feel like this is not talked about nearly enough. What I want to do is, hi, Sonia, how are you? I want to share my sales matrix core principles. So the sales matrix is a system that I created about 20 years ago. And it's really designed to help you have more, easier, and faster conversions inside of your sales conversations. So you could be having conversations in the DMs, you could be having conversations on Zoom calls, phone calls, face-to-face, it doesn't matter. However you're doing your sales conversations. I think what the most important thing is here that I want you to take away is that the sales matrix system works regardless of how you're having these sales conversations, but it's so critical to understand. And so what I want to do is just go over the core basics of it, because it's going to take a much lengthier conversation to really like teach this and train the system. But the sales matrix is backed by human behavior. It's backed by sales psychology, which has been my education, my study. It's what I have been doing, teaching, studying, and implementing for the last 20 years in my business. It's exactly my specialty. It's what I do. It's what I know. And so I think that what I want to do before I go into these principles with you guys and give you some actual things that you could go off and start doing inside of your next sales conversations, what I want to do and what I want to say just really quickly, I want to say that most entrepreneurs and most CEOs are doing sales all wrong. Okay. And I know that doesn't sound great. That doesn't sound amazing. That doesn't sound sexy by any stretch of the imagination, but it just is what it is. And I have not only run my own business, multiple businesses for the past 21 years, but I have worked for 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners who are running large companies at scale with massive sales teams. And quite honestly, they don't know what they're doing. They're burning out their sales teams. They're teaching very old strategies and tactics that do not work anymore. And so what I want to say is that most entrepreneurs out there, most business owners, the way that they're doing sales and the way they're teaching them is they're very product focused, right? So you're very focused on, this is my program, this is my product, this is the thing that I do, this is what I'm so good at, this is how I help my clients. And it's kind of an all about you show. It's like you're the star of the show, instead of being focused on problems and solutions. So one of the things I always like to try to educate my clients on is that as a business owner, you're also a salesperson. You are supposed to be a sales professional, which means you are getting yourself educated, trained on how to properly sell. That is part of your responsibility, your duty, and your job as a business owner, because in order to have a business that creates profit, in order to have a successful, thriving, profitable business, you have to know how to sell, right? So if you don't know how to sell, or you're not very good at selling, you're going to have a really hard time in your business generating consistent, steady profit, right? So what I think is really important here to understand is that as a sales professional, your job isn't actually to sell. Your job is to find problems and solve problems. That's your job. So when you're out on the internet and you're out doing your marketing and your sales activities, which are not the same thing, but when you're out doing these things, your focus should not be on you, because sales has nothing to do with you. It shouldn't be on your program, because no one cares about your program. It shouldn't be on your agenda. You should literally just be looking for problems to solve. Okay. So most entrepreneurs are very product focused or program. It's all about their stuff, right? Like, oh, let me tell you about my program. And I cannot tell you how many companies, very, very big companies that I've worked for, in the very first part of the sales training is, let me teach you about my program. And right away, it's like, no one gives a shit about your program. Like, that's not selling. Learning about your program is not sales, right? When you are doing sales or you're teaching a salesperson how to sell for your company, the program is the last thing they need to be taught. The program is not the first thing, because anyone can talk about a program or a service and what they're great at and how awesome they are. But if you don't understand sales and you don't know how to sell, no one's buying those programs, right? And most of these very large companies that I have worked for, the very first thing they do is they do a whole training on, like, let me teach you about my program so you know what you're selling. But if you don't know how to sell, then knowing what the program is that you're selling doesn't matter, because you don't know how to sell it. Okay. So that's the first mindset shift that I just want you guys to have. And I want you to understand that if you're the salesperson or you have salespeople on your team, it's extremely critical that you understand that they can, a sales professional who understands sales can sell anything. They can sell anything in any industry, right? I could go be a car dealership and I could sell cars. I could go work for, SaaS and I could do fine there. I could do anything because I have sales skills, right? Like, I know how to sell. So it doesn't matter what the program, the thing that I'm selling is the last thing I need to know. Okay. It's the last thing I need to know. What I need to know is, who are your people? What is it that, what are the problems they're having right now? What are the solutions that we provide, and what are they looking for? And the conversation and the sales piece is what you need to be focused on. As a business owner, as the sales professional, or if you have a team, this is the very first mindset shift I want you to have. Okay, I want you to go from program and product pushing to actually finding and solving problems, because let's be real, there's no sale to be made. There's no sale to be made if your people don't know they have a problem that exists. So if you're getting on conversations with people who don't even think they have problems, right? Or they have problems, but they don't think they need to be solved, then you're completely wasting your time, right? So that is the very first thing that I think 99.9% of entrepreneurs and business owners, they're just doing it wrong. They have it completely ass backwards. And then they're like, I don't understand why I'm not getting sales. Why am I getting all these objections? Why are people saying they have to think about it? Why aren't my sales team like producing? Like, why aren't they closing sales? I don't understand what's happening. No, that's number one. Okay. You're probably teaching them about your program and your product and your service and your benefits and your testimonials and how awesome you are, and they don't know how to sell. So it doesn't make sense, right? Like, logically, that doesn't add up. So that's the first thing. The next thing is that they're really teaching these washed up kind of traditional sales tactics that don't work in today's industry. So we have to understand that people in today's space are very skeptical. They are very savvy. They're very smart. So they're smart, savvy, and very skeptical. There's also a lot of options out there. There's a lot of free stuff and a lot of paid stuff, and there's a lot of choices and options. And people coming into this space today, they don't need to jump all over your stuff right away. They can really take their time and look around. And so what we have to understand is that people need to know that you have a solution to something that they really want solved. So what I teach my clients is, like, you want to be getting out into groups of people and networking and being visible and marketing and having sales conversations with people who are actively looking for a solution to a problem, right? So if you're spending time doing all the things, whatever that looks like for you, and you're saying, I don't understand, I'm working 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 plus hours a week, I don't understand why I'm not producing more sales. A lot of the times it's like you're doing these sales tactics that just don't work. So you're spraying and praying, right? Like, I can't tell you how many companies, again, that I've worked for, and they set their sales team up for complete failure. And it's like, here's our program, and then go do these sleazy tactics. I want you to hustle your ass off. I want you to grind every day. I want you to promote, pitch. I want you to post. And it's this spray and pray idea that, like, I hope that after I do these 500 things today, one sale comes out of this. I hope that happens. And at the end of the day, it's not about how much content you're creating. It's not about all the things. It's not about doing those things. It's about get in front of people that are actively looking to solve the problem that you solve. And that's where you focus your time and energy, right? Same thing with when you're booking sales conversations. If you're getting on the phone with people that are like, yeah, my life is great, it's going so good. And you're like, okay, well, is there like one thing you might want to change? Yeah, I'd love to make more sales. Oh, good. So I have a program that helps you make more sales. Do you want to talk about it? No, I don't want to talk about it. No, thank you, right? Like, number one, quick pitch. It's gross. Number two, they have not said they have a sales problem. So the problem is with these sales tactics that they're disgusting. They're kind of like bro marketing. They're aggressive and pushy and like, they're just old. They're like 10, 20 years ago, right? The problem with those is, again, people are smart, savvy, and skeptical. So they're really looking for someone who knows how to lead a conversation and help guide them through the process of being able to say to themselves, listen, I have this problem right here, and I need to solve this problem. And here's why I need to solve this problem. So what a lot of people are doing is you're in these conversations and you're trying to get somebody to see that they have a problem. You're trying to get somebody to say, oh my God, I see your program as a solution. Oh my God, yes, I understand I need to sign up for this. Yes, I understand I need to do something. You're trying to get people to that place. You're trying to convince people and negotiate and beg and like try to help them see that they have a problem that they should solve. And by doing that, you're like, listen, you're doing this wrong. You should be doing this instead. And if you just did it my way, you'd blah, 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 blah. That's old tactics. That's nasty. And no one's buying that shit, right? At the end of the day, that's not what a sales professional does. That's not how a sales professional leads calls. That's not how they book conversations. That's not how they have conversations. And that's not how we sell. The goal is that you're asking emotional questions, because sales is 100% emotional. It is not logical. No matter how you slice and dice it, it's not logical. It is emotional. People make investments based on emotion. Okay. When they make those decisions, your job is to ask them emotional questions that allow them, not you, but them, to identify, I should do this differently. I should try something else. I should solve this problem. You want to help them see that and understand that. You want them to identify this for themselves. When we are making an investment or an emotional decision, and again, if you have made any investments in your career, then you understand that when you're making an investment, you don't want to be backed into a corner. You don't want to be coerced. You don't want to be convinced or someone begging you. It feels nasty. You want to be in charge. You don't want someone to tell you that the hard work you're doing is all wrong. You don't want someone to tell you that all the work you've done, you should have done it this way. You don't want someone telling you that. It creates sales resistance, right? So a lot of the times when you're getting objections, it's because of this stuff right here. You're getting them because of this. Sales is not a strategy, it's a skill set. And when you skip learning how to sell and you try to dig into strategies, you're really going to have a hard time making money in your business. You're going to struggle with sales. You're going to be very average, if at best, and you're going to have to work really hard for those sales. And then they're really not that great at the end of it, right? So your job is to help people through emotional human behavior questions. Your job is to get them to verbally tell you, oh, I have a problem and I do need it solved because here's why I need it solved. Here's why I cannot wait on this. Here's why I need to do this now. And here's why I'm ready now versus I wasn't ready a week ago or even an hour ago or even before talking to you, but here's why I'm ready now. And they need to get themselves there. And this is great for the person selling because it relieves all this pressure that you put on yourself, that it's your job to get people to do what you want them to do. It's not your job. And you shouldn't be trying to do that. If you're doing that, you're doing sales wrong. Okay. So that's the second part, is you're just using these old tactics, or maybe that's what you've been trained, and it probably is what you've been taught, because 99.9% of business owners, even very successful ones, are still doing this. They have not even educated themselves on how to properly sell, right? So they're not only doing this themselves, but they're teaching their sales teams how to use very old traditional selling that works against the human behavior, not with it. It works against it. Hence the reason you get so many objections and you think it's normal. I hear this all the time. Oh, objections are so normal. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. So the next thing that I see a lot of entrepreneurs and CEOs, business owners doing wrong is normalizing these really low conversion rates. I see this all the time. I have business owners, 7 and 8 figures, who will come to me and say, my sales team converts around 40 to 50%. I'm pretty happy. That's great. It's actually not great. 50% conversion is super average. Who the heck starts a business or gets a job and wants to be average? Like, who says, I want to be average? I don't want to be the best at what I do. I want to just be average. 50% is an average conversion rate. If you're having 10 conversations and you're only closing 5, I'm sorry, but that's not awesome. Why are we not closing 7 or 8 or more of those calls? What's going on there? Right? Why are we having 10 conversations and we're not closing most of them? Right? So I think that that's the other thing too, is that people in this space, they're normalizing that low conversions are okay. It's good. 50% is great. It's actually not. It's average. It's average. It's a statistic. It's an average. 50% is an average conversion rate. Who the hell wants to be average when you can do much better? The next thing is we focus, and I see people doing this, but they focus on handle objections. Oh my God, I see this so much. Handle objections, handle objections. We need to stop normalizing objections. Okay, when you go to your local grocery store, you don't walk in and go to your cash register or their cashier and say, I need you to convince me today to buy food because I don't want to spend the money I have on food because I don't have very much money and like the food is so expensive and like I would love to shop here, but like I can't afford it and I don't have the money to do it. Number one, you wouldn't be in that store if you couldn't afford to buy the groceries. So why are you getting into conversations with people who aren't at a place where they see the value and getting the outcome they want? Right? You're getting into conversations with people who have not been properly qualified. They have not gone through a process to be qualified to be on a call with you or in a conversation with you or your sales team. And what you're doing is you're saying, it's okay. Let's just focus on handling objections. No, prevent objections. You need to be doing things long before a phone call or a sales conversation even happens. You need to be doing things that are going to eliminate and prevent objections from coming up inside of a sales conversation. That's your job. That's what you should be doing. I don't teach my clients how to handle objections. I teach them how to prevent them and how to eliminate them from even happening. And yes, if an objection happens to come up, usually it's more a question or confirmation versus an objection because we've already handled that before we've got on the call. Right? So I think, again, there's just like some due diligence that needs to be done here. I don't want to normalize objections because yes, out of 10 calls, maybe one person has one little tiny objection. That's normal. But if every conversation you're having, you get in objections, you have to understand, I'm not normalizing it. It's not normal. Objections are happening because you're not doing the work that needs to happen before the call or that conversation. You're just skipping straight into it. The things I've talked about here today are probably things that you're not doing. You or your sales team, whoever's doing the selling, are probably things you're not doing. And that's why you're getting objections. Objections are simply people who don't have the information. They're not qualified. They're not ready. They don't think they have a problem that needs dire solution right now. And they don't see that you have a solution. There's a multitude of things which all should be handled before you ever get into a sales conversation. Right? And this is why 99.9% of entrepreneurs, almost every entrepreneur, has more objections than conversions. Almost every conversation they're having, there's objections coming up. And then you don't know how to work through those because you didn't properly do the work before that, leading up to that, to prevent that from even happening. And then you don't know what to say when it does come up. If someone does say, well, I don't know if I can afford this, you don't know how to handle that because you haven't done the work ahead where you could say, hey, I totally understand. What do you mean by that? When you say that you can't afford this, what do you mean? Because I know in the last conversation or on your application or however you pre-qualified, I remember that you had said this. Is that no longer the case? You don't have that information to lean back into. So now you go into objection handling where you're like, fighting their objections and you're kicking them off with like a sword or something. It's like ridiculous, right? It's like a fight or something. And that's not how we do sales. Okay. If you're doing sales like that, you're doing sales all wrong. That's not how we should be doing sales. Okay. If you're having people giving you these constant objections about things, you haven't done your job before that conversation, and you should have never had that conversation. Okay. And that goes for you or your sales team or whoever. So all of these things that I just explained that we are doing wrong, these are the things that are making selling feel hard. It's making it drawn out, right? Like, it's making it so that your sales are taken. You talk to someone today, but they don't buy for weeks, months, years out. And it's like that's drawn out. And these things are making it so that whatever you're doing, whatever sales strategies and tactics you're using, they're not working that well. They're not working super great, right? I have 7, 8, and 9 figure clients who are running very successful businesses, and they're stressed out about the lack of sales in their company. They're never going to tell you that, right? They're going to keep face on the front end, but I can tell you right now, they are stressing out because they're not closing very many sales, and they're getting more objections than anything. Their sales teams are reporting back objection, very minimal sales. And these are multiple 7 and 8 figure company owners. Okay. So the reason is because the company owners don't know how to sell in today's space. So they're using these nasty strategies and tactics, and that's what they're teaching the sales team. So the sales team is it's the blind leading the blind. And the sales team doesn't know how to navigate these problems because they're not being taught. Okay. So those are the things that I'm seeing wrong. So 3 things I want to give you guys to be thinking about and to do an audit or an assessment of what you're doing. What does your sales system and your process look like? Number 1, you've got to change your mindset, guys, from selling to serving, which is I find and I solve problems for people who want their problems solved. Their job, a prospect's job, is to identify that they have a problem and then acknowledge that they want and need to solve it, and then explain to you why they need and want to solve it. That is not your job, right? That's their job. So your prospect needs to do that through you asking questions that guide them to those aha moments, that guide them to those realizations of their current situation. Okay. So that is number 1. So you need to shift your mindset to, I'm not praying on the internet. I'm not scouting groups and looking for people that could be clients. You need to shift your mindset from that to, I need to find and solve problems, because people are buying solutions, not your programs. Okay. They're not investing in you. They are not investing in you. They are investing in a personal outcome or solution that they want, and they happen to be going through you to get it. They're not investing in you at all. They don't care really about you. They don't care about your program. They want an outcome. They want a solution to a problem that they have identified as urgent, right? So what you want to help people do is what you want to be doing is you want to be going from selling to finding and solving problems. And that is true serving. Okay. The second thing I want you guys doing an audit on is you need to learn emotional based question asking, right? And what you want to be doing, and I did an Instagram video on this today, but you want to do what I call tip the scale. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you just do this one thing, you'll see more conversions. But without doing this, I can tell you right now, you're probably getting a lot of objections. The number 1 thing that needs to happen in a sales conversation, regardless of how you're doing your sales conversations, is that you need to help tip the scale. And what tipping the scale means is that when you're in a conversation with someone, you need to ask them questions that help that person identify that it is riskier. I want you to hear what I'm saying here. It's riskier for them to stay in status quo. It is riskier for them to continue to keep doing the same things over and over and over. It is risky for them to not solve their problem and just sit there with that. That's more risky for them than it is for them to just go find the money, make the investment to get the solution, not to buy your program, but to get the solution. Okay. In your conversations, if you're not asking, and you can't tell them this, That's the thing with sales. You cannot tell people they need to do this. You cannot tell people what they're doing is not the right way. You cannot tell people that the way they've been doing it is all wrong. You have to be in a conversation with somebody, and you have to ask them questions that help them identify this for themselves so that they're making the decision and they have acknowledgement. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone where you're like, why don't you see it? You're not getting it. You're not getting it. And your work is so hard to try to get them to get it. And they're just not there with you. That's because you haven't asked them questions, or they're just not ready yet. But that person's not buying. That person's not making no investment. I can tell you that right now. You're going to get a boatload of objections with someone like that because they haven't come to the realization of the current situation yet. They don't see that the problem they have is risky. They don't see that it's a problem. In their mind, I could keep doing it for another 6 months. I can struggle to make money for another 5 months. That's fine. If that's their mindset, they are not seeing that they have a risky problem. They're not seeing the benefit or the value of making the investment to get the solution to solve that problem because they don't think the problem's that risky to begin with. You're not changing their mind on that. You are not changing their mind on that. So your job is not to change people's minds. Your job is to help people understand their current situation and help them identify it's actually riskier for you. You're actually losing. It's more risky for you to stay where you are than it is for you to find the money and make an investment to get the solution and solve this problem. But you cannot say that. You need to ask them questions. You need to know how to have proper sales conversations so that the person tells you that. You want them to say, this is the problem I have, and this is the risk if I stay here. And here's why. I cannot stay in this problem anymore. I need to find a solution. I need to solve this problem. I need to get this outcome, and here's why I need to do it. And they need, all by themselves, they need to say that to you, and they need to come to that realization because now they have made the decision to solve that problem in their mind already, right? So now your sales conversation going forward, it's not going to be objections because they by themselves, not by you convincing and coursing them and all that stuff, but they by themselves identified that. So now they've raised their hand and they put their hat in the ring and they've made a commitment and decision to solve that problem with or without you. They're already going to solve. They're actively looking to solve the problem. Whether it's you or not, that's up to you guys. But that's the idea behind this. That's where you need to get people. That's tipping the scale. Okay. If they see that they have this baby problem, okay, and your investment's gigantic, they're not going to make the investment. They're going to give you a money objection, a time objection, a health objection, a dire life problem objection. You're going to hear every objection in the world. And it's not because people are not investing. It's not because people are not serious. It's not because you have the wrong audience. You might, but it's because you don't know how to sell. And so what's happening is the way you're running your conversations, it's like 1 out of 10 will buy. That's great. I'm not getting on a call with 10 people if only one is going to buy. That's ridiculous. I can't afford to do that. Like that, my time is my money, right? If I get on the phone with 10 people, I want to close at least 8 or 9. Okay. Otherwise I shouldn't be on a phone call with them, not a sales call. I should not be in a sales conversation with that person if that's the case. And so again, this goes back to number one, where you're finding problems, you're solving problems, and you're getting in conversations with people you've qualified and they've expressed they have a problem and they're actively looking to solve it. Otherwise, why are you on a conversation with them about sales and working together? Okay. The third thing, so I want you to think about tipping the scale. The third thing is you have to qualify to prevent objections, not have to get in these conversations and fight and combat and like squash objections and handle objections. It just feels nasty. It's like, what do you mean by handle it? Like, are you like beating people in the heads with like, this is what you need to understand, like get over it? Like, it just seems, handle objections seems disgusting to me. And it's a kind of a gross feeling. And most people don't want to handle objections. Okay. What you want to do is prevent them from coming up to begin with, which is everything we just talked about here. Obviously, inside my sales matrix system, there's a whole system, right? What I wanted to do today is just educate you on some of the principles that I teach and that I implement and that I believe in and that I have done for the past 21 years inside of my sales programs and trainings and my systems. Is I really follow the sales matrix, which is all backed by human behavior. It works with it, not against it. And it is just the core of sales. You could do sleazy sales, or you could do sales that are authentic and sales that are natural and neutral and feel good and convert better, faster, easier, right? And it's all in how you're doing them, right? If you're beating the same drum over and over and over and you're still getting the same results, that's where you need to identify for yourself, is this a problem? Can I continue doing this? If it's a problem, then I need to raise my hand and start looking for the solution, because it's risky to stay here and continue to do this, right? Or you could say, you know what, I'm going to struggle for the next 6 months because that's where I'm at. Or I'm just going to keep trying something different. I'm going to keep spraying and praying. I'm going to keep trying to figure it out. I'm going to keep doing this on my own. Or I'm just going to keep doing more of the same. That is totally up to you. But you need to identify that for yourself, just like we're talking about here today, where when you're in a sales conversation with someone, you're not going to get someone to change their mind. You have to just help them, not get them. You need to help them come down to the realization of their current situation, and then help them identify, is it a problem or not? Is it something you feel like you can just keep doing? Or is it something you feel like, no, I absolutely need to solve this problem? And then if so, why? Like, why? Why not wait another 6 months? Why not wait 5 years down the road? Why do you need to solve it now? These are things that you, as a sales professional, AKA a business owner, should be educating yourself on. And if you run a sales team, oh, for the love of God, please educate yourself on how to properly do sales, and how to teach your sales team how to properly do sales, so that they're not so burnt out, exhausted, and handling objections and fighting objections day in and day out, and coming in average at 30, 40, 50% conversion, maybe on a great day, right? Your company will make more money. You'll make more money. Your team will make more money, and everybody's happy, and humans are getting problem solved, right? So that's what I wanted to talk about today. This is really just kind of some of the core principles inside my sales matrix system. I wanted to share that with you a little bit. I'm really curious to hear your takeaways, your questions, your thoughts on this. Love to hear how you guys are currently doing sales and how this might help you. What is something, my recommendation for you next is like audit your sales system and take a look at like where in your process or your sales system can you start incorporating more of the human centric and the human behavior type of sales strategies that actually work. And it's the basic, it's the core of sales. The core of selling is all human centric. It's all emotional. It's all human centric. So when you lean into that more and a little bit less on product and program pushing and selling and begging and convincing and objection handling, you're just going to see a massive difference in your sales, your conversions, how easy they are, how good they feel, the type of people you attract, your profit margins, all the things. Okay. So stress levels will drastically go down. Sales will dramatically go up. And that's what we want for you. So I'd love to hear your takeaways, questions. I would do a self audit for yourself and see kind of where you're at and where you could start making some changes or improvements. And yeah, that's what I have for you guys today. I hope this has been really helpful. I'd love to hear from you guys, and we'll see you soon. All right. Bye, guys.